I would ask people to tell the truth.
You want the truth, Meghan Markle? You can't handle the truth, not even close. But what do I say? Bring it on.
Now, if you're talking about yourself in the vicinity of the Duchess of Sussex, you better make sure that it's less than 15 seconds.
Me too, let's go. And then we'll pass the bit that enough times. Just get something done that the and then we'll pass the bit that
Because that's what took Meghan to go from delighted to your 15 seconds of talking about yourself, Emma, are up. Can we move on to me?
I feel like the focus is starting to shift off of me. Maybe in editing you'll fix it.
Nothing to do with her own behavior. It's all lies.
Hi, I'm Meghan Markle.
And I'm Harry.
And we're royally screwed.
Meghan Markle strutted into Aspire with Emma Grede and dared the universe to tell the truth. Within hours, rumor has it the very Montecito aides she personally hired and recently axed decided to take her up on that challenge.
We know she's a vicious, ruthless businesswoman who treats her staff like shit.
Everybody who works for her quits. Everybody says she's a bully. She's very nasty. She's a bully.
According to insiders, 2 ex-team members have raced to high-powered attorneys clutching what they call their daybooks, minute-by-minute journals of every alleged meltdown, 3 a.m. directive, and morale-shattering staff purge inside the Sussex compound. Those diaries, sources claim, are now scanned, time-stamped, and locked in a legal vault, poised to detonate the polished tale Meghan spun on YouTube.
What the what? Let's talk about this one sentence that exposes everything that's wrong with her and her brand.
It's all branding. Did you notice it? It's all branding to make herself look more relatable and motherly.
She took all that money and launched her stupid-ass lifestyle brand with jam.
But instead of embracing the role, she treated it like a costume, something to wear when it suited her brand. Suits. Get it?
New buzz from Los Angeles begins the moment Emma's 90-minute chat hits the feed. Industry gossips say the former aides watched the Tell the Truth soundbite twice, exchanged a single emoji, zippered mouth, and booked a same-day slot with a Century City litigator known for prying open NDAs. Critics who dissected the podcast's every pause note. Meghan's confident nod when she told Emma her contracts guarantee total control. Employment lawyers counter on cable panels that California whistleblower rules can shred private gag orders if misconduct touches public interest. The aides, were told, aim to test that in court, betting their annotated spreadsheets of unsent voice memos and Slack screenshots qualify as public interest gold.
Every chance she gets, she tells us the story about when she was 11 years old in the dish soap. From Oprah to Netflix to Spotify to glossy exclusives, she's been on the global grievance tour for how many years now? 5?
It said women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans. And the boy said, yeah, that's where women belong, in the kitchen. And at 11, I just found that infuriating.
She starts talking and telling a story about how when she was 11, and she keeps saying, well, when I was 11, I saw this commercial and they were talking about washing dishes and only soap for washing dishes was for women. And she said, I didn't think only women wash dishes. It wasn't there. So I wrote to the company. And when I was 11, I wrote my first letter, and then I was 11, and she kept saying she was 11.
Lots of letters and put pen to paper, and they ended up changing the commercial to people all over America. And, you know, it's funny to look back at it now because that was before social media where you had a reach that was so much greater. It was just an 11-year-old with a pen and paper.
She writes to the company, they change the text, they change the commercial. And I go, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I guys, just interrupt you there for 1 minute. I was trying not to be rude, but I wanted to be funny because it was so serious. And I go, I just want to give everybody here a context as to how we're different. I said, well, when I was 11, I was playing a prostitute.
Yeah. This is where we're this is one.
This woman on the right, like, it's the same way the audience is.
The ways were very different. When I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. So okay, bro. I wished I'd known you. Where we're going here. When I was 11, a little different. I would have been writing very different letters, but equally important, I hope.
One leak claims an entry marked 90-second jam rant, describes Meghan demanding a reshoot because the jar looked sad under studio lights, and and anecdote skeptics say dovetails with YouTubers' frame-by-frame breakdown of her tight smile during the show's supply chain question. If judges agree the diaries are whistleblower protected, a single unredacted page could outrank the buried palace bullying annex, and insiders whisper the Sussex legal team is already bracing for an emergency injunction. Could the very phrase Meghan threw into the microphone become the legal crowbar that swings open her own vault of secrets? Stay tuned, because the next move from those newly empowered ex-staffers may land before the jam restock timer even hits 0. You'll never guess who's rumored to bankroll their fees.
She ain't liking working with her team. No wonder they've all been sacked, because Meghan Markle is no longer going to listen to anyone else's advice.
Fresh whispers swirl that one of those daybooks contains a color-coded page titled Aspire Prep, and the margin notes alone could upend Meghan's carefully curated podcast persona. A Hollywood source familiar with the AIDS files says the Duchess spent 47 minutes of a 2-hour production call rehearsing the 5-word mantra, "My vision, my brand," while staffers scribbled warnings that her calm tone cracks when Emma mentions failure rates. Body language pundits have since seized on that moment, replaying Meghan's rapid blinks and jaw shift after Grade's gentle query about risk. Their verdict: micro-stress. Critics on talk radio extend the dissection, arguing that the anecdote supports a long-running narrative of nerves masked as mastery. Meanwhile, entertainment lawyers not connected to the case speculate that if the aide's annotated rehearsal logs surface, they could be introduced as contemporaneous evidence of undue pressure, especially the bullet where an assistant purportedly flags a voice note at 0310 capturing Meghan muttering that she'll never be Martha if the lighting team keeps washing out the jam. That line, league insiders tease, matches wording in a leaked draft email.
All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
These two, Meghan and Harry, are the worst.
The hypocrisy is beyond anything I've ever seen.
Every week, I'm genuinely surprised by what happens with the Sussexes.
They're the most entitled, disingenuous people on the planet.
Emma allegedly received praising her for holding space when Meghan's energy spiked. Skeptics caution the leak is unverified, yet the timing syncs with YouTube analysts who noticed Meghan's smile flicker precisely when Grade compared her to Gwyneth Paltrow. Add to that the uproar after body language channels highlighted the Duchess's quick side-eye during Serena Williams' name drop, and you have a dossier of microtells that pundits claim the diaries could corroborate. Negotiation chatter heats up. 2 streaming rivals, one in Burbank, one in Culver City, are rumored to be weighing 6-figure offers for exclusive dramatization rights should the aides go public. A Fox unit insider even jokes they already storyboarded the jam jar that looked sad. If those bids materialize, Meghan's control clause might collide with another California statute favoring speech about workplace culture. Will a bidding war for behind-the-scenes receipts push the ex-staffers to file sooner, and could a streaming giant force the truth into the open before the courts do? The clock is ticking, and insiders insist a surprise motion could hit the docket by Friday. New intrigue detonated overnight when a freelance audio tech contracted, insiders claim for episode 6 of Aspire, privately circulated a waveform screenshot said to capture Meghan stopping mid-sentence, lowering her mic and whispering, "Delete that, they'll twist it." The leak, still unverified, allegedly aligns to the timestamp where Emma Grede had just pressed about imposter syndrome. Commentators recalling that broadcast remember an abrupt edit and a jolt in background ambience, and now argue the aide diaries could explain the splice.
The beginning of that clip where she's like, "Oh my God, oh my God.
She just wanted to be a pretend princess in Hollywood, so she split her husband off from his royal family.
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time?
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament.
One former Spotify producer briefed secondhand on the Montecito workflow, maintains Meghan's team kept a standing policy, flag any moment where she shakes her head while saying yes, because body language channels pounce on that. The tech screenshot, if genuine, proves the crew logged those cues in real time. Fuel for litigators eager to show how much energy went into narrative control. Across the pond, British morning shows are giddy. Royal analysts pull up that same Aspire clip, freeze-framing the second Emma remarks. "People are saying you're the next Martha Stewart," and Meghan responds with that tight-jawed "oh yeah" before blinking 5 times. Tabloids now speculate the AIDS journals might include a color legend for blink clusters and jaw set, mapping each to stress triggers like Martha references, Serena name drops, or any mention of sales figures. Meanwhile, the newly resurfaced twerking in labor video keeps ricocheting through commentary circles, with critics noting Meghan's defensive "it was 4 years ago" explanation oddly mirrors the rehearsal note that an assistant reportedly wrote. If cornered, timestamp the memory, minimizes scrutiny. Lawyers watching from London suggest that if pattern evidence of scripted deflections emerges, the Sussex brand's authenticity plank could wobble just as new as ever products are scheduled to drop at month's end. And hovering above it all, Paramount insiders whisper that South Park writers received an anonymous envelope last Thursday marked Aspire Raw Take, sparking rumors of a Meghan megaphone cameo being revised again. If the cartoon scalpel truly tastes fresh material, the Duchess might soon face another pop culture roasting, timed perfectly with any legal unsealing. Will the rumored audio file leak to the press before Paramount's animators hit render? The next ripple could land within hours, leaving palace aides and Montecito lawyers bracing for impact.
She is a malignant narcissist who is a truly terrible person.
With a permanent victim complex, knowing that victimhood is what makes them all the money.
After taking a break from taking a break, Meghan Markle is back.
No, the world's biggest victims right now are the Duke and Duchess of Netflix, and don't take my word for it.
Fresh sparks erupted this morning when a self-described former ArcUL strategist slid into a pop culture newsletter's DMs, claiming Meghan's celebrated farmer's market anecdote was, in her words, focus grouped twice and punched up by a ghostwriter who tested 3 different veggie names for cuteness. The strategist, whose identity remains unverified, alleges that rehearsals included a whiteboard headed Adorable Americana Moments, and that the now famous kid-selling produce line defeated alternatives involving lemonade and homegrown sunflowers because it tracked best with the wholesome hustle demo. If that clipboard ever surfaces, critics grumble it could validate the body language guy's observation of a micro-grimace when Meghan described the stand to Emma. Royal podcasters have already cued side-by-side clips. On Aspire, Meghan coos about counting cash with Archie. In last year's Variety Q&A, she stressed teaching him gratitude, not currency. Commentators now ask whether the AIDS Day books log any internal debate over pitching the Sussex children as mini-entrepreneurs, especially after Meghan expressed annoyance during the interview that Lily's dresses were generating affiliate sales she could not capture. Media lawyers caution that if those journals really hold margin notes like pivot to kids for relatability or flag Emma's money question, they might undermine Meghan's public claims that authenticity drives every edit. Meanwhile, YouTube breakdowns of the podcast's infamous jam origin story keep gaining traction. One viral creator slowed the audio and insists he hears a second voice, possibly a producer, murmur say happy, not tasty right after Meghan recalls friends praising her preserves. No official confirmation, yet the speculation dovetails with chatter that Aspire's raw tracks ran through at least 4 post-production sweeps, 2 more than normal, to scrub any crew prompts. The bigger bombshell, insiders hint, is that the ex-UM's diaries supposedly list the exact software plugins used to warm and soften Meghan's tone, complete with weekly invoices. If subpoenas pry those invoices loose, analysts predict a round of headlines about audio airbrushing just as Ever's second collection goes live. Could the Duchess's carefully curated warmth morph into Exhibit A in a credibility debate? Rival PR teams smell opportunity, and one Beverly Hills consultant says a quiet scramble is underway to trademark parody slogans riffing on "Tell the Truth." Which studio will seize that pun first, and will the Sussex lawyers try to shut it down before it hits late-night monologues?
The dysfunctional Duchess who couldn't, she says she runs businesses, the woman couldn't run a bath.
As ever essentially means as it's always been.
Half of her friendships are, do you have a private jet or not? Oh great, I'm your best friend now.
Breaking right now, as ever, might as well be renamed to as never.
Late last night, chatter spiked when Barrister X, a Twitter handle tied to a mid-tier London chambers, floated that 2 Los Angeles law firms have drafted provisional motions to compel discovery of ArcUL's internal Slack channels, pointing specifically to an April exchange allegedly titled Jam Math. According to the anonymous thread, junior staffers begged to see hard forecasts before filming the now mythic berry-stirring B-roll, warning that an 80% sell-through on under 1,000 jars would invite dunk culture. The leak dovetails with Dan Wooten's on-air claim that Netflix executives privately groaned over the tiny inventory, joking the only thing scarcer than jars was authenticity minutes in the edit. While Sussex reps remain silent, palace mavens whisper the royal household is quietly pleased. Every credibility bruise for Meghan, they argue, weakens any future tell-all. Yet spin from Montecito persists. One friendly columnist insists the small drop was mindful luxury, though internal critics counter that bulk orders were off the table because Meghan's preferred organic pectin ran out. That shorted story, skeptics note, never surfaced on Aspire, prompting body language analysts to replay Emma's follow-up about restock pace, flagging Meghan's rapid double blink and chin tuck. Meanwhile, the rumored daybooks may detail a frantic 48-hour hunt for substitute pectin, climaxing in a 2 a.m. text chain where Harry, allegedly half asleep, offered military-grade ration jelly as a placeholder. Commentators are already mocking the idea of royal MRE jam, but IP lawyers caution that if the texts exist, they could breach Apple's iCloud subpoena gateway and land in discovery alongside the aide's Google Drive of storyboard revisions. Adding spice, a Hollywood sound tech just told a niche podcast he was approached to record organic kitchen noise in post because the original pot sounded too echoey, implying even the clinks might have been sweetened. If proven, such Foley fakery could mirror the Oprah fact-check fiasco, reigniting debate over whether Meghan's mission is transparency or theater. Investors eyeing As Ever's rumored summer scone mix now wonder, will each crumb be vetted by marketing or by microbiologists, and which trail of emails will a judge deem material? With murmurs of early mediation talks swirling, the next legal filing could decide whether those locked-away diaries stay sealed or explode across tabloid front pages, rewriting the narrative before autumn drops.
Trying to make ourselves into a brand just turned us into products. We don't need to be a brand, do we?
Everyone says they don't have time to make homemade meals, but if you just have 3 nannies, 2 butlers, a housekeeper, a driver, and a full-time personal assistant, you have all the time in the world. Stop making excuses and start moving snacks from one bag to another.
Body language sleuths pounced next, and their verdict landed harder than any court brief. Within the 89th minute of Aspire, Meghan's smile supposedly freezes into a boxy mask the instant Emma praises Serena Williams' empire. An unguarded half-second, the body language guy spliced into a slow-mo meme that went viral before sunrise. Commentators frame that flicker as a tell of brittle ego, arguing it dovetails with the aide's claimed notebooks, where one page allegedly logs a post-recording gripe that the host fangirled Serena too loudly. Skeptical, Dan Wotan swears ITV producers replayed the clip frame by frame and clocked a micro scowl lasting 0.3 of a second, while Angela Levin quipped on GB News that the Duchess looked as if someone had served grape jelly at a Fortnum's tasting. Even Robert Jobson, usually measured, told a breakfast panel that the move felt like a subconscious veto against sharing spotlight. Meanwhile, the leaked Slack snippet about authenticity minutes gained traction when a freelance sound engineer posting anonymously on Reddit claimed he was hired to recreate wooden spoon ambience because the original take was filmed in a tiled prep space, not the cozy Montecito kitchen viewers were shown. If that redub happened, critics say it undercuts Meghan's on-air insistence that social media finally lets her share on her own terms. Factor in those rumored discovery motions, and analysts predict a courtroom tug-of-war over every WAV file and metadata stamp. Across the pond, palace courtiers, still irked by the tell-the-truth jab, see karmic symmetry. The more Meghan trumpets transparency, the more third-party technicians pop up with tales of retakes and ADR. Yet Sussex allies push back, arguing high-end productions always sweeten audio, calling the fuss willfully naive. Investment blogs, however, note that As Ever's valuation assumptions hinge on a clean docu-lifestyle halo. Any perception of manufactured moments could spook potential distributors who bank on farm-to-table credibility. Over in Hollywood, one streaming rival is said to be pricing a satirical pilot titled Duchess Difficult, pitching it as Veep meets Barefoot Contessa. If Netflix gets wind, insiders whisper, contractual clause about portrayal could be triggered, and that, experts warn, might yank the Jam empire into a whole new PR firestorm. But the next blow may not come from satire at all. Word is the California Labor Board just received an anonymous tip about unpaid intern hours logged during the supposedly family-run tasting shoot, setting the stage for another potential subpoena.
Reality is she's a grifter. Fake it till you make it.
PR motivated, money motivated.
She wants us to listen to her like she's a founder because she took all that money and launched her stupid-ass lifestyle brand with Jam.
What brand survives when production invoices, body language memes, and labor audits all converge? The answer may hinge on a single calendar entry buried inside those daybooks, and everyone's guessing which date it is. Fresh chatter jolted the rumor mill when 2 Los Angeles paralegals, both former externs at a high-profile entertainment firm, privately alleged they'd been approached to index and color-code a tranche of Montecito correspondence that could rebut hostile fact-checkers before Aspire's second season drop. One extern, speaking via an encrypted voice app, claims the cache includes midnight Slack exchanges in which a senior brand consultant begs Meghan to trim the imposter syndrome spiel, warning it played tone-deaf during test views in Toronto. That advisement, the extern says, was ignored, then resent 5 hours later with the line, "Client prefers full affirmations." Critics jumped, insisting it buttresses the Sun's weekend splash that Meghan routinely vetoes any edit, hinting at self-doubt. Sussex reps dismissed the whole story as creative fiction, yet the timing looked awkward. The same day, Emma Grede's company quietly updated its website to note Emma taped Aspire as an independent host, a tiny footnote some pundits interpret as subtle distance setting. Finance bloggers smelled smoke and dove into As Ever's corporate filings. One blog, Equity Spill, surfaced a Delaware amendment dated May 20th that swaps culinary division for lifestyle consumables. Analysts suggest that tweak expands the legal umbrella in case future products pivot from jam to, say, sleepwear, a move they view as precaution against any jam supply hiccup after the first-run strawberry fiasco. Remember how Meghan told Emma a bad berry season could stall fulfillment? Growers in Watsonville now whisper they were asked to sign NDAs longer than their vendor contracts, standard for celebrity SKUs but rare for boutique harvests. A Watsonville foreman tells local radio he balked when a new clause barred him from revealing field footage. Industry watchers say it echoes the alleged request to Netflix crew to blur pantry labels during the Homestead B-roll, another layer of secrecy that jars with the brand's homespun promise. Inside the palace, senior aides are said to be monitoring but not intervening. Yet one former courtier slyly noted to a Times columnist that the late Queen never needed NDAs for Sandringham honey. Royalists seize the quote as proof the Sussex model is veering off course, while Montecito loyalists fire back that modern commerce requires safeguards. But tension spikes each time yet another behind-the-scenes rider leaks, and Wall Street forecasters warn that investor patience thins if consumer trust wobbles. With second quarter pitches reportedly slated for late July, insiders debate whether Meghan's team will unveil a surprise vertical to reset the narrative or double down on jam as joy.
Meghan thinks dignity is the name of the maid that cleans the upstairs bathroom. She wanted the crown, but didn't want to carry the weight.
One hush-hush Zoom scheduled for tomorrow hints at a reveal, and rival publicists are already bracing for the fallout. Late last night, an unverified deck, allegedly the same briefing slated for that hush-hush Zoom, surfaced on the invite-only PR forum Spin Cycle, and the slides, if real, paint an even wilder picture. Page 1 trumpets a working slogan, "Taste the truth," beneath a stylized megaphone that mirrors Meghan's podcast Rant, prompting commentators to groan that she is memifying her own backlash. A second slide lists potential cross-promos, a limited edition Aspire bundle with a 5-ounce citrus ginger spread, an enamel pin reading "Ask Me About Integrity," and surprisingly, a miniature notebook branded Daybook, a wink, critics say, to those rumored aid journals. One marketing professor calls the concept cheeky genius or brand suicide, depending on whether shoppers view it as self-aware or self-pitying. Deeper in the deck, a bullet point marked confidential claims. Season 2 reshoots complete. Meghan's solo kitchen walkthrough added, apparently addressing viewers who griped to Emma that the Duchess spoke of jam yet never showed her stove. Industry veterans note the slide's fine print references, costume approval pending, suggesting Meghan may have vetoed initial wardrobe choices, a detail echoed by the paralegal who mentioned frantic Slack edits over a blouse deemed too Martha. If the footage sticks, analysts predict side-by-side comparisons with Martha Stewart's vintage Food Network close-ups, exactly the matchup Meghan had insisted to Emma she found flattering but outdated. Meanwhile, body language YouTuber Jesus Enrique Rosas pushed a new breakdown to his 250,000 followers, freezing the moment Meghan declares her jam makes friends so happy. Rosas spotlights a fractional jaw twitch he says signals suppressed irritation rather than pride, a read that talk radio hosts pounced on. Minutes later, a Sussex spokesperson released a one-sentence rebuttal. Body language clickbait is not commentary. The terse reply only fueled chatter that the team monitors every critique, feeding the narrative Emma inadvertently ignited, that Meghan, for all her public bravado, lives trapped by private Google alerts. Against this backdrop, leaks claim Netflix bosses will decide within 3 weeks whether Aspire Season 2 stays in September or slides to November to dodge election turbulence.
She's obsessed with her own ego.
She's crying for sympathy, playing the victim.
They're just whining millennial windbags.
Oh, how lovely!
One content strategist argues the schedule shuffle could buy time to recut any scenes the aide's lawyers flag, while another warns a delay risks jam fatigue. Fans, foes, and fence-sitters all wonder which path Meghan will choose, and whether the rumored notebooks will force her hand before she can even taste test the next flavor. The countdown to the Zoom Deck's official debut is ticking, and rival lifestyle moguls are already drafting their responses. Insiders whisper that Prince Harry, far from ignoring the swirl, has been visibly rattled by what one Montecito neighbor calls the Daybook drumbeat, a reaction reportedly compounded after he skimmed a rough cut of Aspire's Fresh Kitchen segment. According to a freelance editor who claims to have temp-looped Harry's off-camera chuckle, the Duke raised an eyebrow when Meghan repeated her "my faith is greater than my fear" mantra, then muttered that the line now felt over-licensed. The same source alleges he suggested swapping it for something lighter. Meghan, determined to keep the phrasing, supposedly countered that any change would undermine narrative cohesion, a phrase immediately mocked on Dan Wooten's Drive Time show, where panelist Angela Levin joked that cohesion is code for my way or the jam way. While palace aides maintain an official silence, one former courtier tells us there is quiet bemusement at Windsor over Meghan citing financial literacy lessons for toddlers while simultaneously hawking $8 enamel pins. That courtier adds, unverified, that a senior advisor quipped, "Teaching value is noble, but flogging it is another thing entirely." The critiques are not solely British. Marketing podcast, The Spin Doctor, devoted an entire episode to deconstructing Emma Grede's "oh yeah" reaction when Meghan called Serena Williams a model mogul, dubbing the exchange a masterclass in polite shade. They replayed body language guy Rosas frame by frame, spotlighting the left lip tug and the Blinkstorm viewers missed at normal speed. Within hours, #OhYeahGate trended briefly on X, prompting Sussex surrogates to float stats showing Aspire downloads up 12% week on week, a figure analysts at Podtrac labeled directionally meaningless without context. Over on TikTok, creators stitched Emma's attempts to finish a sentence before Meghan pivots back to herself, overlaying a counter that resets each interruption. The most watched clip crossed 3.2 million views by dawn. Yet the fiercest debate now circles those aides' NDAs. A Los Angeles talent lawyer says if a court subpoena materializes, the notebooks become discoverable, meaning their daily records, timestamps, direct quotes, even emoji usage could become public evidence. Meghan's camp reportedly fears cherry-picked lines leaking first, forcing reactive spin. One crisis PR veteran muses the Duchess might preemptively quote her own staff in Season 2 to disarm the bomb, though skepticism reigns over whether Netflix would greenlight that gambit. Decision day looms, and every camp is digging trenches, but the aides' attorneys have hinted that a single discovery motion could drop faster than a sold-out sampler box, leaving the Duchess with one final card to play and barely any time to shuffle. Insiders closest to the dueling legal teams insist the next 48 hours could decide whether those daybooks stay locked or roar into public view, and the tension is fraying tempers on every side. One Beverly Hills fixer familiar with high-stakes settlement talks claims Meghan's attorneys floated a good-faith mediation package that would see the aides paid off quietly and the notebooks shredded in exchange for a broad non-disparagement clause, but the aides' lawyers, said to be scenting a blockbuster in open court, have so far balked. Meanwhile, Netflix executives are reportedly bracing for either outcome. If the diaries leak, they plan to recut Aspire's already finished Season 2 trailer to include a split-second teaser of Meghan reviewing files in her home office, hoping to spin scandal into eyeballs. If the diaries vanish, the trailer will lean harder on family kitchen coziness, resurrecting that honey-hued shot of Harry sautéing peppers while Meghan taste tests jam. Social chatter suggests viewers smell a scripted pivot either way, and rival streamers are lining up popcorn memes. Across the pond, royal courtiers are gaming out responses of their own. Two Kensington strategists, speaking anonymously, say William's team will likely stay publicly silent, but is privately noting every contradiction that surfaces, especially anything touching Catherine's bridal party dress saga, to bank for future credibility moments. A palace aide also hints that should Harry attempt a surprise London visit to soothe tensions, security and optics hurdles would be formidable, especially with the Order of the Garter debrief still dominating Windsor diaries. Even so, bookmakers have slashed odds on an autumn Sussex sighting at a UK charity gala, unless one quips, the notebooks drop and the jam hits the fan. At the same time, Emma Grede's own camp is rumored to be crafting a lessons learned blog post, eager to keep her brand unsplattered if legal fireworks ignite. So here we stand, subpoenas drafted, trailer edits queued, and reputations teetering on a razor's edge. If the vault cracks, every whispered contradiction from beige dress myths to midnight staffing calls could spill across headlines. If it stays sealed, critics warn the speculation machine will only rev higher, chewing through every on-air mantra Meghan repeats. Which scenario do you think she and Harry should fear most? Exposure or eternal rumor? Tap your thoughts below. Hit like if you love the inside scoop. Subscribe for the next round of royal adjacent intrigue, and keep watching to ride the twists as they drop. You won't believe what's coming next.